Okay, finally, we're talking about our actual interview experiences. So, your actual interview, what happened?
Okay, I had two. They were the same morning. One was at 10 and one was at 12. I did them from home rather than from school, which I think was probably a good decision because I just felt a bit calmer, and yeah, it was good because I didn't go in the morning, so I just woke up, had breakfast, was just trying to stay calm. I really did not enjoy my first interview at all. It was quite question and answer rather than discussion, and I'd been told before going into my interview, treat it as a conversation, it's just a chat, they want to know how you think, and it was very, here's our question, we want to hear what you say, okay thanks, and then next question. And so I came out of it feeling like I hadn't really done it right because they hadn't responded in the way that I'd been told that they would do, but it clearly turned out okay, and I felt like I tried to answer the questions as best as I could. So another piece of advice would be just don't dwell on it. My second interview was really different. I had pre-reading to do, which I got sent 6 days in advance, which I think is a COVID thing because they couldn't have done that in any other situation. I don't know any other college or any other subject that did that, but it meant that I had already had some thoughts about what they were going to ask me for because I'd spent the last 6 days actually reading this article and trying to understand what it was saying. And that was just, it was an easier interview to deal with. It was much more how I was expecting it to be. They seemed more interested in my answers. Like obviously it's so hard to judge your interviewers, but you are still engaging in their body language. Like you are still looking to them for clues. And my first interview, the interview was quite closed off. It was quite like tick boxy, whereas my second one was much more open and welcoming. So yeah, just really different. And my advice would be don't dwell on them, don't overthink them too much. I did everything that I could, and then
once they're done, they're
done.
Do you want to specify that you didn't apply to medwards?
I should specify my interviews were with FITS, which is the college I think that takes the highest number of geographers. So there are quite a lot of us who have done FITS interviews, and quite a lot of people who got interviewed at FITS who aren't at FITS. So 2 of the 3 of us here were FITS interviewed.
Interviews are really dependent on the college.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a decider for the college you're applying. I mean, it doesn't apply to you because you've already applied, but it shouldn't be a decider, but don't take the experiences of other people at different colleges to be what you're going to have. They are different, they are not standardised. The colleges kind of work like independent systems.
I wouldn't say don't take the experience of someone at that college of how your interview is going to be.
Also
because
true.
Some colleges must have like 10. Some colleges must have like 10 interviews for the same subject. You don't know who you're going to get, you don't know if they're going to do it differently this year, so
that's the thing, when you find out who your interviewers are, Google them, look them up, and read about what they research.
Yes, because I did that, but I was like, oh, I'll have a brief read. And one of my first question was purely based on my interviewer's research. I was like, I could have known that if I had actually researched it. But
they won't judge you based on that. You don't have to like
don't
dwell on that.
Don't make it obvious.
Don't bring up what they've researched. They
don't
really.
But like it is worth knowing, like especially if you're taking something multidisciplinary, which I certainly am and you guys basically are, is like your interviewers might specify in like completely different disciplines, and it is worth thinking about the kind of way that they might think. It shouldn't shape the way that you think, and it shouldn't shape the way that you speak, but it's worth noting, like for me for example, I had an international relations interviewer and an anthropology interviewer, and if you know anything about international relations and anthropology, you know that they think in very, very different ways, and I'm glad I knew that because I speak in quite a sociology way, which is itself a separate discipline, so I could kind of cater that a little bit. How were your interviews?
And there were 3. Good luck with your essay.
Thank you.
I was interviewed with Conversationswithruby, and I also had 2 interviews. The first one was with 2 people, the second one was with 1 person. The first one was a little bit more like quizzy, a little bit more like Sophie said, like question and answer. But it was still a discussion, and like I still had the opportunity to like be like, I don't really know. So like I had a couple of questions, like one based on like organelles and one based on like evolution and like how things are linked together. So it was like discussion based topics, and like it was like still a chat, but I didn't have to do any like graph sketch. They tell you have to do graph sketching. I didn't have to do graph sketching, did you?
Different college, no. I didn't get told I needed any equipment. I didn't have to use any online platform or anything.
See, they told me I needed to have like the stylus and like whiteboard thing, but I didn't actually have to use it in the end. But I'm assuming if you're doing like a maths interview, you probably will have to sketch a graph, those kind of But I get mine was very like bio related, the first one. Then my second interview was just with one lady, and she asked me about my EPQ, which was about climate change. So we had like kind of a long discussion about climate change and like what it can affect, and like that one was a little bit more chatty, I'd say. I didn't feel so much like I was getting tested, but they were both quite enjoyable, and I did actually come out of them thinking that was a really nice opportunity. Like, I felt like I'd had a discussion with interesting people, and that it had been like a reasonably even conversation. And yeah, I enjoyed my interviews actually.
So I was interviewed at St. John's College, so I was pulled here, but I wouldn't change that at all. So I had 2 interviews. My first interview was biology based, and my second interview was chemistry based. I don't know if that's because I wrote in my SAQ that I was interested in both biology and chemistry, or whether that was the case for all bio-NatSci, so biological natural science applicants at that college. So my first interview was with 2 people, kind of split in half. So the first interviewer spoke and asked me questions, showed me graphs, and then the second interviewer spoke and taught me through how something would work in a certain environment and then a different environment. And I think the thing to take away is you don't know the right answer. Like we were saying, like if you get it wrong, they'll be like, it's not quite how it works. Instead, maybe think of it in this way. Or what I took away from it is, I was like, I don't think this is the right answer, but maybe the body could do this. And then she was like, no, that actually is the right answer. So feel free to ask them questions, be like, oh, would it work in this respect or something? Like, just be open to not knowing.
Into your mind, because they're not going to ask you things that you know the answer to.
Yes.
Like, they're going to ask you. They're not going to ask you stuff that's in the A-level spec.
And you're better to say something rather than nothing. That is the main thing. Just say something. And my second one.
You can take time to think though.
Yes.
You can be like, can I just have 2 seconds to think about that?
Sure.
I did that in my interview.
I would prepare to answer the most basic question, like, why do you want to do your subject? Because that was my very, very first question. And I was like, why didn't I prepare for that? So I dived straight in. I feel like in hindsight, I should have just taken a time out, because I feel like I gave quite a vague answer where actually I do have very specific interest in my subject. I should have taken time and be like, let me gather my points and then actually say it in a more like coherent, specific way. And then my second one was chemistry, which is a lot more maths, like theoretical, thinking about it in my brain. You can have it on a notepad, you can work it out. But coming away from that one, I was like, oh, I don't think that went so well, but I think the thing is to not overthink it. Like,
did you guys think your interviews went well?
I didn't overthink it. I was like, I thought it went alright, but then I know myself I could doubt it, so I was like, yeah, I'll just leave it be. It happened.
Between my first and second one, so like half an hour between them, I was like, that didn't go well. But then after I had my second one, I think it reassured me because it was a lot more like a chill chat. But I don't think you're ever gonna come out of it being like, that was so good, I definitely smashed that, because
and no one's gonna come out of it.
I had a friend who did, they didn't get in.
Yeah, don't overthink it, and like Sophie said, once it's done, it's done. Move, like, you don't have to think about it again till January, so try not to let it like get you down.
Exactly.
So my interview was obviously pretty different from your guys's. I had 2 interviews, both had 2 interviewers, and actually all the interviewers, in retrospect, now I'm here, 3 of them are my supervisors, and one of them is my director of studies. That's quite fun. That's what you get for applying directly to a very small college. But
not a small college, actually.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
compared to the others?
average.
That's what you get for applying to an average college. But so yeah, I had 2 interviews, both of them were half an hour long. In both of them they had the same structure, which I didn't expect and I didn't prepare for, sorry. I'm gonna do Jasmine and sit on my hands. So I had 2
right now.
No, Ruby, move your hand.
Okay, I had 2 interviews. They were both half an hour. I didn't expect them to be the structure that they were. Both of them were, the first 15 minutes was analysis of a text or an image or something that I got like 10 minutes before I went into the interview. And then the second half was on my personal statement. In my interview assessment, the way mine was structured was it was like 2 sides of a text. It was Hannah Arendt, so it was 20th century writing, but it was a political thinker. It was what you would expect from a politics course. So I thought that if I was going to get a text in my interview, it was going to be that kind of thing. It wasn't. Don't try and expect, especially for a course like HSPS, that they're going to give you something pretentious and long and old style. You don't have to spend time like dissecting Hegel and shit in order to prepare. I shouldn't say that. Dissecting Hegel and stuff in order to in order to prepare for your interview. It's not going to be like that, or at least in my experience. They want to hear your diversity of thought. They don't expect you to be able to read the classical texts. So in both of them, it was along the same lines of like, you could kind of tell they were working out, do you understand the text that you've read or the image? Can you analyze it in certain ways based on like your experiences and stuff like that? Can you draw something from it and apply it to today? So the big skills that you need are analysis, like comprehension, analysis, and then making links. And that's kind of where, if you are going to talk about something that you've done, do it in that bit. And then the second half, what they essentially did was they both of them took something from my personal statement and kind of deep dived into it a bit. One of those was my art A-level. It's worth considering that because I do have a lot of, so I took art as my 4th A-level. I took it just blatantly because I enjoyed it. I did do quite an explicitly political subject and it was in my personal statement. Did not expect them to ask about it. Thank God I took something I was super passionate about, I knew a lot about, and I really, really enjoyed talking about it. So that was okay, but don't think that there are certain things they won't ask you about. They will probably, especially for the social sciences and the humanities, because they like being quirky and different, they're going to ask you about things that you don't expect them to ask you about. That's okay. You'll still be fine. I walked out of it being like, yeah, that was great. Not because I thought I was going to get in at all, but it was because I walked out and I was like, that was a really nice conversation.
Enjoyable.
Yeah. I walked out, that's what you want.
Yeah.
And then my second one, little bit more like, I had a couple of moments in my second one where I was like, I've stumbled on that. I sounded like an idiot, but in the end, it worked out fine. I asked both of my interviewers at the end what piece of advice they would give a student like myself for the next year, regardless of if they got in or not. I wouldn't say prepare a question for the sake of having a question.
You don't have to ask a question.
No, you don't. You definitely don't have to. Because I was genuinely interested, and it's something that I ask. Like, people who know me in real life know that I ask that to every adult or lecturer or person in position of authority. And because it's a genuine answer I wanted to hear, I think that they that was a positive feedback for me. Yeah. Like, I think that they thought that was a strength in my application.
And they probably recognised that you genuinely did want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually did get asked, like, do you have any questions? I mean, didn't, but like, I feel like I didn't ask a question.
I asked about like climate activism in Cambridge. So I just asked like a general question about the city of Cambridge and the college, rather than like about the subject. So that was, again, it was like a genuine interest. So
yeah. If you have a question about
you might
like,
as well
ask it.
But don't feel like you have to, because
they say it doesn't count towards anything.
Yeah, I feel like you don't want to be asking a silly question and then be like, if you see us around, say.
Are you doing FAQs?
Oh, FAQs. Okay, so all of the stuff that you're too scared to ask people. I'm gonna get copyrighted. Yeah, come forward. All the
ask us your questions in the comments below.
Yeah, ask us questions
and we will all answer.
We're all going to be in the comment sections answering. You may not be in the comment section.
I might not make it to the comments.
But question 1, what do you wear for interview?
Anything you want, anything you're comfortable in, especially if it's online. Like, I'm pretty sure we're like jogging bottoms on the bottom, because I just like, you need to be comfy. But also, if like, I feel like for some people, like, if it makes you feel more confident to like dress up in something that you really like,
those clothes I wore for school, because I wore those, so I feel more academic.
Yeah, exactly. If that's what this is a really unrelated point, but like, I have to wear shoes when I work. Like, if I'm in my room at my desk, I have to put shoes on, so I feel like I'm like working. So like, if you have stuff like that, or like if you feel more like confident wearing whatever you wear for school, or like something that's not like your slobbing around clothes, then do that. But
I wouldn't say generally, like, genuinely, they're not going to look at what you're wearing.
Like a shirt.
I do think, like, practically though, you probably don't want to turn up in a hoodie or a like as much as like I want to be like, oh, you can wear anything you like. Yeah. Like, these interviewers are human, and they are going to make judgments about you. It's worth not wearing a graphic tee or like really insane makeup, stuff like that. If that is your style and you want to go for it, but I wouldn't recommend it I would recommend
Just in
like try and look clean and presentable.
Yeah.
Like if
Try
you
and
want
fit
to
in their box of a woman.
like,
You can edit it out. She can't leave in.
This is going in the
I would say actually, I think wearing a shirt is a good idea. It does make you feel more confident. I didn't wear one.
I wore a shirt and a
But-
blazer.
Yeah, something like that. That's not like you don't have to wear like a suit. Like don't wear a tie and
No.
shit. But don't wear a tie and stuff. But like it's worth being a bit more dressed up than you'd usually be. It does have a psychological effect.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
also
it.
it does make you come up a bit more presentable. I just wore this like brown woolen jumper.
I wore a woolen jumper, yeah.
Yeah, woolen jumper is a good middle ground.
For online interviews, what should my background be?
I think try and find natural light,
Yeah.
because that's just good.
The-
Like, general good lighting is good, right?
My interview was at 4 p.m. and in winter, pitch black outside, which I didn't appreciate.
Mine was in the morning, so I did have natural light. A reasonably plain a reasonably plain background, but like they know that you can't. No one has like a green screen behind them. No one has not everyone has a white wall. So if you've got like your bookcase or whatever in the back, like it doesn't matter. Like they're not going to judge you on it. But
The one thing I will say is don't try and decorate your background to present things about yourself. It will just annoy and distract them, right? Like think about how it is for you when you're on like lessons and someone has a really distracting background. I tried to find a plain white background. Yeah.
I didn't. I had paintings, plants in the back, which I feel like I should have just had a plain background.
Fair enough. It doesn't add anything to have more stuff in your background.
as long as you're well lit and
Yeah.
like that you're connected.
And
is
if
good.
you take a humanities subject, and I mean this very seriously, do not curate the books behind you to look more intelligent than you are. Don't do it. I've heard a story of someone who got asked about a book in their background that they had not read.
Oh, that's so funny.
Give them the blankest canvas you possibly can in order to let them.
Yeah. You are the main event.
You want
in
your
background.
words,
Be the
your
main
language
character.
to be. Okay,
Goodbye.
we've had a technical problem, but we're back again. Not on my phone anymore. We're on Amelia's. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful to you. If you want to see more of this content, I'm probably going to split this video into two. So there's going to be a pre-interview advice video and then an interview advice video. Whichever one this outro is on, stay tuned for the other one. I also make vlogs on this account, so if you want to see what it's like to be a fresher at Cambridge at Murray Edwards taking HSPS, then come and join us. This lot feature heavily
Come
in
look
the
at our
vlog.
starting university experience.
Yeah. If you want to see my short video stuff, my main account is over on TikTok, Conversations with Ruby. Over there you can get GCSE, A-level content, some stuff on personal statements and some short answer stuff about UCAS. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. We are more than happy to answer, and we will be in the comments to help you with your concerns. And a really massive good luck.
Yeah.
Do you want to say your piece?
Yeah, okay. You gotta get the up close angle.
Okay, get close as well.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Good luck, everybody. I just wanted to say you've got this in your interview. Just be yourself and you're gonna smash it. And then when you get here, come say hi to us.
Yeah.
We'd love to see you. So just good luck and
You'll be
got this.
amazing.
You
Yeah.
smash it. Good
Good
luck! Woo! Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh, baby, when you're done, bye.
Bye.